What is helicopter parenting? Well, it might be something different than you think. I'm Nicolene Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communication, and how to build strong family bonds all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. In this video, we're going to be talking about what helicopter parenting is and what you can do not to be a helicopter parent. In this video, we're talking about helicopter parenting, and I think some of the reasons that people become a helicopter parent might really surprise you. We're also going to talk about what you can do so that you don't fall into some of those helicopter parenting traps. Well, with that type of a segue, I guess you can probably assume that I'm not a big fan of helicopter parenting. Some parents have come to me and said, Nicolene, I'm kind of a helicopter parent. And at one time, I used to be proud of that. I kept my child safe. I felt like I was making sure that they did everything exactly right. But I think I've created a monster. And that is what oftentimes happens. People who are helicopter parents care a ton about their children. They usually are micromanaging things for the child. So they structure everything. The play is structured, the routines are all structured, the day is completely structured, the wardrobe is structured. They keep things very structured for the child. Now, some structure is good. In fact, children thrive on structure, but we can overdo it. So we have to be very careful. Now, there are some personalities that just trend toward helicopter parenting because they like things to be orderly and in control. They might be more of that like type A personality where they like to have everything lined up and they like to have control over their surroundings. These parents are the ones who are going to get trapped by the helicopter parenting approach. Now, some people also are just afraid. Many parents have helicopter parenting practices because of fear and anxiety. That's what a lot of people don't talk about. So that could be surprising to understand, is that if you know you might be a helicopter parent because you don't want your child to do this or this or this, it could be that you have some anxiety somewhere inside. Maybe your parents didn't protect you in some way and it ended up really hurting you and you know it. So maybe there's even a reason, a legitimate reason that you have some of these fears and these anxieties and why you don't want your child to go to anybody's house or why you don't want your child to ever play outside without anybody right there with them to watch them. Maybe there is a legitimate reason. And I completely understand that. In fact, I think there are many people who don't appreciate that some people who practice helicopter parenting do have histories or reasons that could lead them to be incredibly anxious about what happens to their children. Maybe they've had a spouse that was incredibly abusive that they had to get away from. And so now they're like, I've got to keep my child away from any abuse. We can't resurrect that. We can't bring that up. Maybe the child themselves has been through trauma. That's hard. So how do you not be a helicopter parent, but keep your child safe? Because I think that's where people keep trying to strike the balance and people keep trending toward coddling and helicopter parenting, not letting their child experience any of life. There is a way to have your child have opportunities to experience life, but also to not control everything in their life. Just like a helicopter hovers over the ground, a helicopter parent hovers over everything the child is doing. Now, one other surprising reason why someone might choose to hover over their child is because they don't want to miss any of it. Because they love being a parent so much that they want to be there for every single moment that their child has. And so they don't want to miss it. And this is a reason that they might hover over the child too. Hey, listen, I completely get that. I chose to homeschool my children because I wanted to be there for all the light bulbs flashing. I wanted to be there for all the exciting moments where they would learn new things. I wanted to hear it first from them. Who doesn't? We only get to do this parenting thing once, right? Let's enjoy it. Let's be there. But there is a way to be there for a lot of it and not have to control all of it. Okay? So we're going to talk about that. But before we do you see that button that says subscribe? Click on that button. And then you will learn so much more because you'll get to see more videos just like this. Click subscribe now. One final thought about helicopter parenting that might surprise you is that helicopter parenting doesn't only feed the anxiety of the parent, but it also can create anxiety in children. We have a big issue in our society today with high levels of anxiety. Now, every single person has anxiety. That's not a new thing to being human. In fact, what we always did as a culture is help a person learn to recognize anxiety and learn what to do with it. Learn how to push some of that off and how to move forward, how to be brave. We're not doing a great job with that right now. We have a mode of parenting that is really based on coddling and overprotecting. It's a helicopter parenting approach. This type of parenting increases anxiety and can lead to the disempowerment of children. You know, those children that don't want to do anything, don't want to try anything new, don't want to launch from their homes when they get old enough. They have been disempowered, oftentimes by helicopter parenting. Now, there is something else that can lead to high levels of anxiety and sometimes get a child to shut down, and that is if you do completely free-range parenting as well. So people oftentimes see those two things as opposites. Like if you are going to turn your child loose on the world, make sure they're prepared for it. Otherwise, they feel abandoned, unprotected, and not safe. And their level of anxiety goes up. Their relationship with you can also become detached. So you don't want that either. So how do you help a child launch out, be brave, do things in the world, but not be unprotected and anxious, and not be overprotected by coddling and helicopter parenting? Let's talk about that. Years ago, when the concept of free-range parenting came out, I thought, okay, people are trying to get parents to be brave and be bold. I like it. But then the examples of free-range parenting started hitting the screen. The parent who sends their child out into the inner city and says, find your way home all by yourself. Hello. Okay, that goes against the role of parent. A parent is a teacher and a guide to their children, so they don't just turn them loose all the time. Should children get the opportunity to struggle sometimes and to problem solve sometimes? Yes, but no child is going to be ready for that type of experience unless they've had some problem solving opportunities already. So a really great parent takes the opportunity to train their child how to problem solve in the first place. So the material that I'm going to be talking about in this video actually comes from these 4 books, okay? So I have a lot of books. I've written 11 all about teaching children and parents self-government. And this is the main one, Parenting a House United. We're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about stuff in there. But we're also going to be talking about parent roles. So this book, Roles, really helps with the parent-child roles and relationships. This book, Popular Parenting Methods, talks about the different types of parenting. So that free-range type of parenting is definitely the more modern, progressive type of parenting. But guess what? The helicopter parenting can be classified as bully, fear-based, or modern, progressive parenting. So this book, this Popular Parenting Methods book, can help. Then we're going to also talk about a problem-solving exercise that you can teach called SOTAs to your children. I teach how to use the SOTAs in this book, but this book here gives the family a place to write down their problem-solving exercises and have learning experiences with their children. So remember how I just said that it is a parent's job to teach and guide and direct their children. They need to teach their children problem solving. How do they do that? Well, a child's prefrontal cortex is very small through development. It's not fully developed until they are between the ages of 18 and 25 years old. This means that we have to do constant problem solving. So what a wise parent does is something that is in this book here, Parenting a House United, and they teach their child before a problem occurs, so that the child is prepared with the skills that they need. So in this book, as well as in my set of children's books, I teach 4 basic skills that parents can teach their children. Those 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. When a person learns these 4 basic skills, that takes care of 99% of their behavioral problems. And even though that sounds really awesome, they also do something else. They help the child be prepared to problem solve for life, because those 4 basic skills are adult skills, okay? Come on. We all know parents, we all know adults who can't disagree appropriately or accept a no answer, right? Think of what people do when they get cut off in traffic. That's just a no answer. They misbehave in horrible ways, sometimes incredibly dangerous ways. So teaching children the skills they need for success is one of the things that we do to make sure that we are guiding our children and not hovering over them and controlling them. If they have skills that they need for success, then we don't have to control everything. We don't have to micromanage everything. It also gives us the things to talk to when they need some correction. So about correction, this book goes into a lot of detail about how to correct your children in a calm, gentle, self-governed kind of a way. But when you're correcting your children, you're not micromanaging them. I think some people sometimes misunderstand me. If you hear me talk for just a couple of minutes, like on one of these videos, or you hear me speak maybe at a conference like I do often for an hour, and I start talking about consequences, or I talk about these skills and how if they don't have a calm face, voice, and body, which is one of the steps to following instructions, then we should correct that. Or if they don't say okay or disagree appropriately, which is another step to following an instruction, then you should correct that. So then they start micromanaging more. No, what I teach is not about micromanaging. It's about identifying, defining what has happened so that we can have a good teaching moment and fix it. And of course, one of the tone elements for a really great self-governed home is consistency. But what should happen is that first you teach skills, then you start correcting the skills in a really predictable, self-governed way, which happens and is taught in this book here and in my parenting course, my TSG parenting course that you can find at teachingselfgovernment.com. But what should happen is over time, you're talking way less about behaviors, way less about calm face, voice, and body, because people just know how to do it now. So they don't need to have all of their conversations be about their behaviors anymore. Wouldn't that be fantastic? If you could spend your time talking about more fun things like a game you want to try or a book you've read or what you want to make for breakfast, instead of always having to talk about behaviors and correcting behaviors. Well, it is possible, and a good parent learns how to do that. So remember this book, the SOTAS exercise? A great parent teaches their child how to solve problems. SOTAS is an acronym that stands for Situation, Options, Disadvantages, Advantages, Solution. Parents give their children situations. They come up with options, disadvantages, advantages, and then solutions. And then they go through a debrief section by using the forms that are in this book. Then this book gives you an opportunity to keep all of those problem-solving exercises in one place so that you can refer back to them and remember how to solve similar problems in the future. Learning how to problem solve makes it so that you don't have to control everything that your child does. Instead, you can refer back to something that you've already discussed ahead of time. Also, in my parenting program, I talk about pre-teaching. That's when you prepare the child ahead of time to succeed. I also talk about having certain meetings. There's 3 different types of meetings that we have with children. And those meetings help the child have a place to plan also for future success in problem solving. Set up an environment where your family can problem solve. Set up an environment where you teach the skills a person needs for success, and your child will learn self-government. Then you don't have to hover over them all of the time. They'll learn to self-manage. They'll manage their time. They'll manage how they feel and their thoughts and their behaviors, and they'll have a deeper connection to you. If you've loved this video, I'm quite sure that you are going to really like my Calm Parenting Toolkit, and I'm going to give it to you for free. So if you go to the link in the description below this video to the Calm Parenting Toolkit, it says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. Go to that link right now and you can have the Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is a 10-lesson toolkit to get you started on being calm so that you don't have to hover all of the time over everything. Click on the link now to that. Get started on your self-government, your calmness, and improve your relationships today. I'll see you there.